We did for the SCA activity. You spoke in. So yes. We've started. We've started. Right, there we go.
Good evening. Welcome to the current special expenses panel. I'm your chair for the evening, Councillor Darren Woodywis. We'll start by introductions. So do you want to start on my left?
Cameron McLean, Interim Committee Officer.
Good evening, Kat Harley, Director of Communities and Wellbeing.
Good evening, Steve Taylor, I'm the Health and Wellbeing Manager.
Good evening, Katie Fox, a Section 106 Officer.
Peter James, Ward Councillor for Little Bowden, Market Harborough.
Martin.
So if we can use the speakers for anyone, microphone, sorry, for anyone online.
Mike Heaps, also Director
at Simon Bentley, Charity Administrator for the Cube Youth Centre.
I'm Gary Trappett. I support with fundraising and bids for the Third Market Harborough Scout Group.
I'm Tom Costal. I'm the Group Lead Volunteer at the Third Market Harborough Scout Group.
Paul Bremner, Councillor for Logan Ward.
Yeah.
Dr. Paul Bremner, Councillor for Logan Ward, Market Harborough.
That's Phil Knowles, Dreadbed and Arden.
Councillor Stuart Finan and Little Bowden, Harborough.
Thank you all. As I say, I am Councillor Darren Woodywis and I'm also Councillor for the Welland Ward. And right, so welcome this evening. Just got a latecomer. So as Councillor Buddy Anderson has just entered the room. So we'll start with apologies for absence. I have apologies from Councillor Asher and from Councillor Taylor. Have we received any others?
No, Chair. Those are the only apologies I've received.
Okay, thank you very much. Declarations of interest on this evening's proceedings. I would like to start by saying I know one of the presenters this evening, Gary Trappett, who I used to work with. Any other?
Likewise, Gary Trappett was a colleague at work.
Yes, my partner works for HDC and is community development officer. So items 4 and 5, I will not be able to take part in.
Okay, I don't know if we preclude ourselves in that way, do we, Cameron?
If it's a non-prejudicial interest, then I don't see any reason for you excluding yourself from those particular items. But I would have to be advised by you whether it's a pecuniary or otherwise interest.
Just
it doesn't sound like it to me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Right, so the third item on the agenda is the draft of the previous meetings ongoings. So has everyone read the minutes? Any points to be raised? In that case, do we need to vote in this panel to approve?
You can do, Chair.
We can do. Okay. So we'll just take a quick vote, though, to support the minutes. Those in approval? Yep, unanimous. Okay, I will sign those. The 10th. There you go. Right. Okay. So quick note, when we get to item 4, actually items 4 and 5 are the wrong way round. So we'll actually be doing the section 106 grants first, which is item 5. Right. So if I just get to the right page to find out which one's which. Section 106. Okay. So Steve Taylor, I think you're presenting the first item on here.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so this is the report for section 106. It's for the Market Harborough Special Expenses Advisory Panel, and it's for section 106 for the grant round of 25-26. So I'll just run you through the summary. Funding known as section 106 monies is used to develop or improve community facilities and various open spaces, and the funding is secured through a planning obligation request, which is a deed of agreement attached to the land that is subject to a planning permission. Contributions secured through planning obligations are used to mitigate or compensate for the negative impacts of a development. Since 1st of August 21, the Council's adopted Section 106 process provides for applications for funding of under 25,000 to be determined by the Section 106 Senior Grants Officer in consultation with senior officers without a meeting of the Cabinet Subcommittee for Grants, and applications for over 25,000 are determined by Cabinet Subcommittee in the usual way. A Section 106 grant application has been submitted and assessed for Market Harborough Scouts by the Section 106 Senior Grants Officer, and it is set out in Appendix A and falls in line with the Community Infrastructure Levy compliance criteria and the criteria set out in the Section 106 grant guidance notes. This report outlines the project and seeks the panel's support prior to it being submitted to the next Cabinet Subcommittee grant for approval. In terms of recommendations, we're recommending that the panel reviews the Section 106 grant application, supports the proposed project, and recommends approval by the Cabinet Subcommittee grants of the application for Market Harborough Scouts for £31,392 from Section 106 funds, noting that there is a further report before the panel with a request for £55,882 from the HDC's 1 million community grant fund. So that will cover the total project cost of £87,274. Reason for the recommendation. The recommendations put forward to the Special Advisory Panel have been assessed against the requirements for funding. They're based on projects fulfilling the key Section 106 criteria, being still compliant and demonstrating projects' evidence of need. And that's it from me, Chair. So what I'll do is I'll hand over to Katie, who will be able to run you through the project in a little more detail.
Thank you.
Would you like me to be?
I'll leave it to Gary and Tom as they've attended. I have visited the site, so I'm aware, but obviously not everyone else is here. Right. Choose who's going to speak.
So, yeah, the project that we are looking to seek the grants for is to make improvements within our hub. So, we want to make improvements to our toilet facilities and upgrade them. We want to upgrade our kitchen facilities and create safe storage cupboard. And within the eaves of our scout hut, we want to make an upstairs storage loft area. The reasons we really want to sort of push this project is there's a big safeguarding risk assessment issue that we have with the current layout of our scout hut. It is over 50 years old, and the facilities do not meet current needs. So we have currently two sections. We have a boys and a girls side, but within the boys side, there's very limited facilities within that to use. So what we're looking to try and do is create what they now call free universal toilets within there, which both the boys and girls can use. And then we want to convert the girls' side into a fully accessible disabled facility. This will then also, having the fully disabled access, will also become our leaders' toilet area as well, because currently we don't have a separate area for our leaders or our young people to use, which obviously is a major safeguarding issue in today's society. And I have to try and keep my young people as well as my volunteer helpers safe as well. So that is one aspect of the project that we want. Updating the kitchen. We need to try and make the kitchen more. It's currently just not a very usable kitchen. We can't really carry out any cooking activities with the kids. So we can't. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And within there, and then the storage in the loft. We are rapidly running out of storage space for our tents, for all of our camping equipment. So we need to look at improving how we can store stuff within our building safely and securely, as not to take too much floor space or create risks again for our young people and our leaders. And that likewise goes with our storage cupboard. Currently, all of our cleaning products are stored within our girls' toilets. They are locked away, but again, there are examples sort of where, if we're running an activity at night and we need to get a broom, that means we need to have 2 leaders need to go and get the broom because it's within the girls' toilet. So we have to safeguard adults. And if you've only got 2 leaders and 2 leaders need to get a broom, then there's no one to look after the young people. So the whole issue causes a big safeguarding risk. So by having our own secure storage cupboard for our cleaning products and our brooms and dustpans and all that stuff, it's just going to make it for a much better facility, with the long-term goal of supporting our young people and looking to open that up to upper members of the community and start renting out the hut so more people can use it and make a really nice facility that a lot of people can hopefully get a lot more use out of for the next 50 years and beyond.
Gary, anything to add?
No, I've just sort of summarised what we felt the real benefits were of that work. So the need to meet equality and diversity, and as Tom has said, we've got stuff stored in the women's toilet. 30% of people active within the group are female, and we talked about disability. Some 8 to 10% have a known disability. So it really is important that we bring it up to meet equality and diversity legislation and standards and expectations of community as well. And I think the other thing is that it would offer some of the other scout groups in the surrounding areas who won't have such good facilities an opportunity to come and do activities that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I commend you both for your passion in this and obviously running a troop for our young people. So that's great. I'll open up the floor. Any questions? Councillor Bremner.
You said 30% of your children were female. Is that right?
30% of people engaged with the group. So that includes volunteers, helpers,
Right.
and members as well.
I may have been presented it incorrectly. How many children do you have coming through your door?
We have about 140 within our group, but we also have the district explorers coming through. So in a week, there's about 170 children within the group or using the facilities.
That age range is from 6 to 17.
So it's 4 to 18.
I'm someone who's had children grow up in this town. I fully support this, because if you don't have children engaged with activity from a young age, then they won't know what it is to be active, and they'll take that through their life in activity. And I'm sure a lot of the kids, because of the Scouts, do DOE, Duke of Edinburgh. So I don't have any problems.
I can go. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Knowles.
Chairman, I think this is a very straightforward application for all the right reasons. It's about investing in the community, it's investing in the young people. It's absolutely the right thing to do. I'm delighted that this application is in front of us, and I'm very happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor James.
It's just on the question really.
whether within this project we've got any external relations. I noticed comments about the planning committee here. Do we need to plans or building regulations?
So yeah, everything has gone through the building regulations already and it's already been approved.
No, they don't.
No, no, it's all internal, yeah.
Okay, any more comments? No,
Sorry, I just
Sorry.
meant to add one thing, which the panel will need to know is that the lease has currently been being reviewed. So sorry, just switch that off. They are working very closely with our assets team to renew that lease. So that will be part of the special condition once it goes to subcommittee. It won't affect the spend by dates for section 106. So it's conversations are currently happening around that.
If it's allowed to be stated publicly, who owns the site then?
If it's allowed to be stated publicly.
So yeah, I think this is one of the grey areas that we're currently discussing with the property team. Yeah, it seems bit blurred lines so at the minute, but basically once the new heads of terms are put in place, the building will fall back into our care. So it is our building that we're working on. It was built.
Councillor Knowles?
Yeah. With all due respect, it might fall back in, but I think the thing is, we need to know who the owners are.
So HDC own the land. My understanding is historically the Scouts owned the hut and rented from the land. Yeah. And that lease was up and expired a few years ago, and then COVID happened. So it hasn't been picked up recently. So they're in positive discussions now with HDC around it. Our legal team have said that before any monies are awarded, not awarded, paid out, if awarded, then we need to see those sets of terms agreed.
Well, I think first of all, I would say that should have been in the report. Definite. The qualification was important. But I wouldn't particularly see that that's going to cause any issues. As I say, it's obviously been lying around for a number of years, but certainly I think that is important detail that should be, because we've been asked to award and to support, which we're all very happy to do. We need those underpinning details on which to make a decision.
Councillor Knowles, James?
It's related, and it's just we're negotiating setting up a new lease term. Can I ask what that term is, how long that lease is for, and whether it's got any break clauses in it? How many years?
Yeah, so those heads of terms will be 25 years again. So one of the things that we need to discuss with the heads of term is we are looking if we can extend that, because we don't intend to.
Quite right, it's not very long, 25 years.
Yeah.
As long as you're alert to that and you're dealing with that,
Yeah.
We've been waiting a while for heads of terms to be presented. And obviously with the project timescale, we're hoping that there will be an urgency in providing those heads of terms so that we can conclude negotiations and discussions, hopefully before Christmas, so that our project timeline will kick in and the project will be delivered on time.
Yeah, I think to have that cleared up is important for several reasons, not least one being the insurance and things like that. We probably want to know those terms.
Okay, before we go down this rabbit hole too far, can I just bring in Kat?
Yeah, thank you. Just to flag a concern, I am a little bit concerned that we are straying into what is essentially an agreement between the council and another organisation that is going to be subject to legal discussions. And I don't think it would be appropriate to have those discussions here. I think what I would say, though, if it provides some reassurance to members, is that as part of the terms and conditions that we attach to all Section 106 grant funding, land ownership and appropriate lease lengths and appropriate lease arrangements are a standard part of those terms and conditions. So we would not be making any funding available until those terms and conditions have been agreed and signed. But it is unusual to be negotiating and debating those in a public meeting like this. So I think that's why we have that legal process for terms and conditions to be picked up. So just as you say, before we go any further into what could potentially be at this stage sensitive legal information, which of course will all be in the public domain in due course, but it doesn't feel like the appropriate time to be having that essentially live negotiation. I think that's something we'll pick up as part of the terms and conditions. Of course, if we have any concerns that it isn't deliverable and that it isn't appropriate to make Section 106 funding available, then we simply wouldn't do that and the agreement wouldn't be signed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Kat. Councillor Bremner, was your point?
Yeah, what we weren't looking to do was enter into a negotiation. What we were saying was we hope that we're in a position to receive heads of terms pretty quickly, given the amount of time we have for the project and the amount of time we've been waiting for them.
Yeah, that's with our legal department, unfortunately.
I think, if I may be bold, Chair, I think the debate's been had, we know the situation, and whatever we prove here will go to cabinet anyway, so you have a bit of time for negotiation before it goes to cabinet. So I
Thank
think
you. So on
we'll
that
move on.
basis, we're happy to move. So all those in favour? It's unanimous. Okay. Thank you very much. Right.
Thank you very much for your support.
That's the only Section 106 item, is it? That was it. Okay. Thank you. So next we go to the community grant section, which is further forward. Okay, so who's presenting this one? So is this you, Katie? You know? Okay. Kat, do you know who's presenting this one? No, we're going back to the community grant. So yes, so we did switch them around. So yes. Okay.
Wrong report in the agenda, so bear with me. Just find the place. Okay. So there was a reason.
Okay. So if you feel you need to, then
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Councillor Finan has left the room due to his relationship. Sorry, continue, Kat.
Thank you. Yes. So the reason for my momentary confusion there around the order of the agenda is that we were deliberately trying to take the reports in a sensible and coherent order, because as you will note from the report at page 11 of the agenda and reports pack, that there is also a community grant application for the Scout group. So it made sense that we did it that way round, because clearly the larger amount of money for the Section 106, if that hadn't been agreed, then you know the project almost is sort of rendered undeliverable. So that's why we've moved the agenda around, just to explain that. So yeah, we're very pleased to present the report for consideration from the Special Expenses Advisory Panel for round 4 of community grant applications for Market Harborough. So this does bring us to the end of the first year of community grants for Market Harborough, but don't worry, because we do have another 2 years to come. So this is only the end of year 1. So you will note from the report that there are an appendix setting out reports on the projects that are being that have been put forward for your consideration. Just obviously a bit of a reminder, it's not a decision this evening, but it is going to be really helpful to get your views. So just a bit of a recap, £1 million for year one of the community grant fund across the district, with Market Harborough allocated £150,000 of that total grant fund. That hasn't been divided any further for each round, so that makes it quite straightforward. And after the round three, so the last round for Market Harborough, £76,923 of the allocation remains. If you recall from the last meeting, I think we discussed that. So the report introduces 3 projects who are seeking support for their applications for community grant fund, and they, as I said, detailed in the appendices, and the total amount requested equals the remaining Market Harborough allocation. Well, look at how that's worked out. No, you'd almost think there was some planning behind this, wouldn't you? Which is absolutely great. We have been working very closely with community groups and potential applicants because we want to make sure that all of this money gets to the community where it absolutely should be. So the applications that you support this evening, out of the 3 or all of the 3, will be considered by the Cabinet Subcommittee Grants at their next meeting, which is on the 24th of September. I'm not going to go through the projects in an incredible amount of detail because there is a lot of detail in the report, but I will just very briefly mention the projects just for everybody's awareness. So we have an application from the 3rd Market Harborough Scout Group requesting 55,882 of community grant funding. So that would be to complement the Section 106 grant that you were supportive of earlier, giving a total project cost of 87,274. And the Scout group have spoken, very eloquently this evening about what they are seeking to achieve through the project. So I'm not going to go over that again, but I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions about that. The second project that we have is an application for £5,028, and that is to replace some upgrade some bifold doors at the Cube Youth Centre. And again, I know we have them here this evening, so I'm not going to say too much more myself because they can explain that project a lot better than I can. But yeah, a fantastic project. And then the third project we are putting in front of you this evening is an application for £16,012.62, and that is from RFM Studios CIC, trading as Brickwork Studios. Again, they are here this evening, so I'm not going to say too much about that. But yes, 3 projects. This would, if allocated by Cabinet Subcommittee Grants, see all of Market Harbour's allocation committed to very worthy, in my view, community causes. But of course, members, it's for you to consider and to ask any questions you may have. So I'll hand back to the chair, who may want to ask the applicants if they've got anything to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. For the benefit of anyone who's watching who may have been thinking of applying, when does the next round of funds open?
It is very seamless. So I don't have the date off the top of my head. Katie's just having a look at that for me. But what we have done is we have planned all of the rounds so that effectively we close round 4 and go straight into round 1. So it may technically even be open, but Katie's just checking that for us. But yes, the idea is that what we will have is a continuous cycle of allocations. So we are very hopeful that every time we have a Cabinet Subcommittee grants, we will have community grant applications to consider.
Thank you very much, Kat. Councillor Knowles, still want to go?
Yeah, Chairman, I just wanted to make a general point on this. It's quite heartwarming when you sit here and you look at this, because this is what the community grant was all about. Because you sit there and you look at it and you can see somebody who's coming for £55,000, and then the next one's asking for £5,000, and the dramatic difference that can be made to so many schemes, some with a small amount of money, some with needing more. It's so positive. And then you get 16,000, so you've almost got sort of small, middle and large, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think it's it's a very heartwarming thing to see that these grants are making so much difference to so many groups. And as I say, some for just a little amount of money and some of them for a lot more. So very interested to hear what's going to be said, but I just wanted to make that point at the start, Chairman.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Knowles. Yeah, I agree. I think these small amounts of money can accelerate change and development within local groups. So, yeah, to be commended. So I see the first item up is the Scout Troop again. I presume you've got nothing extra to say? No? Have we got any more comments on that one within the panel? Councillor James?
We are quite short of community space in this town, as you will know, no doubt. We've had a couple of closures that I know of. And I see in all of this now that you do let out to other community groups. Is that correct? Or you do rent out?
That's what we're looking to
That's
do.
what you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. I was going to ask you what your spare capacity was, but if you're getting in a position to do that, it's really good, because we do need more community space in this town, without doubt. So thank you for what you're trying to do.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Councillor Knowles?
I don't think there's much more to say on this one, Chairman. I'm happy to move that.
Okay, I was just about to ask that. Okay. In that case, we go straight to the vote. Those who agree? Right, unanimous? You now are fully funded, allocated, or whatever the phrase we're using. Supported. There you go. Right. Okay, so you may leave if you want to. Okay, Stuart, yeah, thank you. Right, so next up we have the Harborough Youth and Community Trust, HIAC project. So that is that you, Simon?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, Simon, please take the floor, and do you want to?
Thank you, Chair. So the Cube Youth Centre, which you're probably familiar with, is based immediately adjacent to the Symington Recreation Ground. It's on the site of the old Bowls Club. So it has a very well-used and valued youth centre and its own grounds covering where the bowling green used to be. Used all year round, every day of the week, predominantly for young people, but other groups use us as well as a community space. And I think what users really appreciate is the ability to move from inside the building to outside. It works really well all the year round. That use of the building is slightly hindered by the fact that the double set of bifold doors really need upgrading, modernising and replacing, because they're quite hard to use. They were made from UPVC, or they are made from UPVC, fitted when the building was made in 2015, and it's not the ideal material, I understand, for big sets of doors because it's heavy and the doors drop. They're not repairable, so they need to be modernised, upgraded and enhanced with a new set of lighter weight aluminium bifold doors that are easier to use. They're robust, they're durable, double glazed, so they have some carbon reduction elements, and that's essentially our project. It's quite simple and straightforward, but I'm very happy to take any queries, comments or clarifications on that.
Okay, sounds straightforward to me. Any comments from the panel? Councillor Bremner?
Is the Cube still run by the Churches Together? Is that correct?
The Churches Together in Harborough, I think, initiated the Cube. That's my understanding. It's now a separate charity with its own board of trustees, but it still receives some support from them, but it's an independent charity.
Because reading the detail who will benefit, I'd just like to give a shout out to one group, the young carers, because they have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders and families, and to support them is something really, really very special. But the Cube is clearly impacting a lot of people from a young to an older age. And my own daughter actually participated and did enjoy running out those doors into the area to play all sorts of games and football and all sorts. And that side of town as well, I think it's a really important community centre, because you've got Symington Rec immediately outside, so all sorts of activities can go in there from the Cube. So again, for all the good reasons, happy to support. But I do note HIAC have a letter of interest from HDC landlord to support this out of their application. A formal consent must be given prior to the completion of any works. It will be, I'm sure. Thank you.
Okay. Any more comments? Councillor Anderson.
Yes, firstly, thank you for your pitch. This one is in my ward, which is Great Balnarden, as well as Councillor Knowles. On this council, I'm a man who wears many hats, and one of those hats is young persons champion. And I wanted to be noted that as young persons champion, I absolutely fully support this. Youth centres are something of a dying breed, unfortunately, and those of us that have been active in getting a youth council here at Harborough know that all too well. So you absolutely have my support on this one.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Any other comments? Councillor James.
Thank you. Well, I fully support this as well, but I just want to take the opportunity of trying to understand a bit more. How many young people have you got on the books there? Does it work like that? Or I know it's a sort of drop-in centre as well, but what's the regular sort of numbers you deal with?
So we regularly deal with, directly the Cube deals with about 200 youngsters a year, individuals. But some of the other groups that we deal with, that use our premises, deal with in excess of that, if you see what I mean. So, for instance, the people that we deal with directly doesn't include the young carers group that Councillor Bremner talked about. Similarly, we have a Let's Play group that meets in our premises every weekday morning, Monday to Wednesday. They have an additional number of people, but that's very much on a book-in basis, so it's quite hard to keep a total of those numbers. We estimate in excess of 500 youngsters use our premises in the course of a year.
Okay, thank you for that, and thank you very much for what you're doing.
Thank you. Any other comments? So I realise we failed to go to the officers first before we moved on to the applicant. So any other comments from the panel? No. Okay. In that case, we'll move to a vote. So those in approval? Okay, there you go. So fully supported. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you very much, all.
Right. Next up, we have the RFM Studios CIC, trading as Brickwork Studios. So who care to take the platform for this one? Oh, it flashed, but yeah.
Thank you. So I'll start by introducing Brickwork Studios for those of you that aren't aware of us and what we've been doing in the community over the last decade or so. We're established as a CIC, RFM Studios CIC, so a not-for-profit community organisation. Martin and I have actually been working in the community in various music projects for far longer than that. But in around 2014, we set the CIC up and raised funding to put in place a community music hub for Market Harborough, having seen that the lack of provision for particularly young people in the area in terms of extracurricular music activities and arts-based activities. We were happy enough to get all the funding to put up a brand new facility, which is right next door to the Cube. So good synergy there, because we've actually managed to get a lot of projects going together over the years. But we run as a CIC, like I say, so we kind of we operate as a private hire facility as well, which helps us be self-sustainable. So we rent out our studio spaces, and we provide recording facilities and also hire equipment, which helps to sustain us as a community interest company and put those funds back into the community projects that we run. Just to give you a couple of examples of those community projects, what they are and how they benefit young people especially. We're actually 4 years into a 5-year funded national lottery project, which is a community run record label. So young people and adult volunteers as well come down to the studio, rehearse with bands, record bands. We study all sorts of elements of the music industry, so there's vocational skills in there as well. Essentially, we're a hub, as I say, for all kinds of music activities, and that's just one example of lots of free projects that we run through our CIC status and being able to raise funds. So onto the project that we're requesting funding for today. Just over £16,000 to enhance and improve some of the facilities at the studio. As I said, we've been operating for a decade now, so there are some signs of wear, some things that need replacing and improving, just to support the ongoing sustainability of the facility. Because of the way we operate, we don't have a huge surplus of funds. Obviously, we're not for profit, so everything gets pumped back into these community projects. So this money would be used to replace essential heating and cooling systems, with it being a enclosed building, very much soundproof. With the heating, cooling and ventilation is extremely important for the safety and comfortable use of the facility. We're also looking to install some automated keypad entry systems. We've already got a couple in place, which allow us to give access to the building throughout the day without having to pay staff to sit there and kind of monitor the building. So we have trusted users that can access the building, use our rehearsal facilities, and this request is to expand that so we can open up our third room for that same purpose as well, which will further improve our income and sustainability going forward. Moving to the outside of the building, there's a small garden area in front of the building, which is really underused at the moment. We've never really done a lot with it, so we'd like to turn that into a bit of a community garden space, which would give us the opportunity to run some outdoor events, some acoustic events, particularly in the good weather over the summer months. There's been a lot of requests from our users to make more use of that space. So we're also looking to replace some of the fencing and boundary areas of the garden. It's currently not secure. A lot of the old fencing there is rotting and needs replacing. But we also want to do more than that. We want to bring in some benches, some planters, and hopefully set up a community garden in that area as well, which can be accessible by anyone from the rec, really. We'd like to encourage more people to come in and see what we do, but enjoy that space as well. And lastly, the fifth element was some additional studio equipment. Some of the consumables, if you like, at the studio are quite expensive, as you can imagine. Studio quality headphones and microphones in particular. A lot of these are now end of life, and again, it's a big outlay for us to kind of purchase those things as a one-off expense. So we're looking for some funding to support replacing some of those items as well. In terms of the benefits of that, these are the kinds of pieces of equipment that we rent out to other local community groups and events where they need PA systems or music equipment to support other events in the area. So we offer all of this at a vastly discounted rate, but again, it gives a kickback to the studio to try and maintain that sustainability over time. Anything else you want to add, Martin?
No, I think I think a lot I'd like to add, but I think rather than me waffle on, I think we move on to the questions about our application, I think.
Okay, well, thank you both, and you did answer most of my questions. I did go onto the website to try and find out the community benefit, but I realised now I was in Brickwork Studios, which is just all the sort of like money stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was trying to work out where the benefit came from, apart from the free sort of concert, which I did attend this year. So I enjoyed that very, very much. Okay, so Councillor Knowles.
Yeah, Chairman, this is another example, I think, of the diverse nature of these applications we're getting. Because I think this one sort of splits down into two. You've got the sort of musical side of it, which is fantastic, and so many people will be involved in that. But we've seen the success of the Friendship Park in Councillor Final and Councillor James's ward, where you've got literally a community garden there. So I think having these two things sort of together, it's beneficial all the way around. And for me, it's certainly something we should be supporting again. So I'm very happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Knowles. Councillor Finan.
Yeah, could I hear more about this concert, this free concert that happened? No, the only reason I asked that is that we've heard from three propositions tonight for various kinds of funding, and a lot have been aimed at the younger population. But obviously, Harborough is a very much a growing population, you know, an aging population, and I do feel that music is something that really, particularly with mental health, you can tap into. And so I am curious as to what this concert was, if there was a concert, or if it was just you were walking by and you were hearing great music. But I mean, music in the community is so powerful, and you know, the benefits of this could be really good. You know, so I'd just like to hear a bit more, really.
So I think what you witnessed was our annual event for Somewhere Records, which is our funded community record label, and that would have been all the bands that are signed to Somewhere Records that record with us. And a lot of those bands start from nothing. You know, it might be just somebody who's got written some songs in their bedroom, and then with our support and using the network within Somewhere Records, they form bands. We give them rehearsal facilities, we give them mentoring, and what you see on the day at Somewhere Fest is the result of all that work. That event was particularly special for me because I felt like we finally got back to where we were before COVID. COVID kind of decimated bands. You know, they couldn't rehearse, they couldn't write together, and it went on and on and on. And soon enough, we saw bands just like give up, or it's just not working. And so we've been like building it back up with the Somewhere Records project since like getting back after COVID. And that event in particular is where I sat there and went, yeah, we're back where we were before. So that project has really supported like young people in the community, not just in a musical sense as well, because obviously it's completely volunteer run. So there are volunteers doing the stage managing, there are volunteers doing the artwork for that event, there are volunteers doing the photography, there are volunteers managing the technical side of things. And, you know, okay, we've got national lottery funding to facilitate this, but at the same time, those volunteers are like looking at the money as well and going, this is a good way to spend like the money that we have available. So it's really sort of like all encompassing, and it's a really nice project because you don't actually have to be a musician. You can be musically inclined to take part in it. I think the only prerequisite would be you love music and you like listening to it, and if so, you can get involved. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of this funding, would that support projects like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that you've got particularly, you know, like the community garden, by the sounds of it, you know, can attract people into the kind of fold.
Yeah, that was actually a really good idea. I hadn't thought about that. I'd be handing out leaflets. So yeah, the particularly we're talking about like having our third room, which to give it its correct name, it's called the control room in the studio. And the control room is the place where the recording equipment is, and the computer and the production equipment essentially. That currently has just a normal lock and a key on it, which is only available to staff. What we want to do is make it keypad accessible so that people who are part of the Somewhere Records project can book time in there and get access to it when staff are not on the premises. Obviously, all those people will be over 18. So that really opens up the control room to be available for much more production to go on. And it's important now because these people have been training up on the project over the past 5 years, and now they're at a position where they can run their own sessions and leverage all the knowledge that they've gained on the project so far. And allowing them to use that room and just get in there and do it themselves is kind of like what we're aiming to do, to enable them to do that. So it would, I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, we are already doing that, but it's very difficult to administer because we have to like make sure that the room is left open, and that creates a bit of a security risk as well. We need that automated locking system. But right now, I think that room is already being used for around 7 to 8 hours a week with the current system that we have, the current lock system. With the keypad system, we almost don't have to say no to any request to be able to use it. So it could impact, you know, the facilities available to those on that funded project significantly.
Okay, any other comments? Councillor Bremner?
You're a best kept secret, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's partly the point. You know, you've got something very special there. And I remember when I was at the Cube with my daughter when she was younger, I saw that your site and was quite impressed by almost the semi-professionalism of what was there. And there's two questions. One on the community garden. Have you thought of speaking to Harborough and Bloom? Whether
No.
they might have an interest in doing something there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also the Harbour Theatre. I mean, do you collaborate with the theatre?
Not an awful lot. We do actually we've been doing some events where we've run the sound at Harbour Theatre when their existing system is not enough for whatever event it might be. We go in with our sound system and run sound in there. But trying to put this in a nice way. I'm not sure in the past they've not been entirely receptive to the kind of music that we're involved in. I think, I don't know, we might be a bit too rock and roll.
So you have young and old rockers down there, do you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got you know, it is mostly contemporary music.
Yeah.
We've got rock, rap, trap, hip hop, drill, all of that's going on. And, you know, we love it, but I understand that that's perhaps not for everyone.
Right. Okay. Well, I would definitely get in touch with Harbour and Bloom because they might enjoy that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm very interested and I'd love to find out more about actually what you're doing down there because music is a passion of mine as well. And I think maybe you're filling a void where with academisation, the free music lessons at school were withdrawn, weren't they? So there is a big void there in creativity. But sorry, Councillor Bremner.
One thing I forgot to say, do you collaborate with Robert Smythe? Because they have a great musical and performance.
So we know Nick well. He's been down and we talk studio stuff with him. When he's got time, he's also
because you've also got a lot of kids if they've got time. You know, they might like a different space other than school to do their music.
Well, a lot of people that come along to the funded projects, the free projects, are fed from the schools or local schools because they want to do more. They want more time and more experience. And you know, Martin's been in the music industry for many years, and he's pro, not semi-pro. But so I mean, we do work with schools and colleges locally as well.
I think to put some numbers on that, I think we've probably had something in the region of 25 to 30 kids come through that project over the past 5 years from Robert Smythe alone.
And we run work experience as well with the local schools.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, any more questions? Comments? No? Happy to move. Just one comment. So you say you're in year 4 of a 5-year project. Presumably you rely 100% on that funding.
Yes.
Have you started talking to our officers to see if there's anything we can do through our
process?
We're in the process of doing that right now.
So there's a couple. We're going back to the lottery first and foremost. They've indicated there may be some additional funding for us from middle of 2026 is when the funding runs out. We're also going to Arts Council, so those are our kind of 2 first sort of ports of call, just to see if the bigger national funders can help us out with targeted arts-based funding. But of course, we'll be looking out for more local funding as well. And I think we're going to talk to the Baltons charity and a couple of others just to see if we can get some top-up funding while we seek a longer-term solution to that.
Excellent. Okay, right. So I think we're just going to move along to the vote now. So all those in favour? Okay, unanimous again. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Simon, it's been a real pleasure to hear from you this evening. I think that is the end of our agenda. Oh, no, sorry, Kat. So you can leave if you like. But we have an update from Kat on projects and priorities.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, Chair. So again, I won't go through this in too much detail because the information's contained within the report, but as we usually do at these meetings, just a run through of some of the key projects and priorities going on at the moment in Market Harborough. It is just a key highlights report really, because we couldn't possibly provide details on absolutely everything that's going on, but we have attempted to bring together what we think are the key things. So I'll ever so quickly run through and then take any questions. So in terms of Welland Park, at the last meeting of the panel, and in fact the last few meetings of the panel, actually we have been stating that work is going on in terms of a feasibility study and an options appraisal for the disused open air bowling green and bowls pavilion. The initial feasibility study has now concluded and the project is moving into a business case stage. So what that will do is identify a range of detailed options with associated cost, risks and benefits and constraints. So once this is complete, it will be brought back to the panel for consideration, while we're just finalising that at the moment. We are conscious that there is a considerable amount of interest in the space from community groups. We've had lots of really interesting and helpful suggestions around how those spaces could be used. So we're absolutely going to be pulling those into the business case so that we can make sure that that nothing is missed by way of opportunities. And then also just to mention, of course, it feels like a while ago now, but it was only a few weeks ago that Welland Park celebrated its 90th anniversary. So we had some cake cutting by the chairman, some nice cake for residents to enjoy, and a special flower bed planted, and there were the bits and bobs going on as well. So just an update on that. The Rewilding Harborough project, as everybody will know, because we've reported this earlier also, we have the council has purchased an extensive area of land to the north of Market Harborough, with the potential to cover an area of over 500 acres of nature recovery and restoration. And it is the council's aim that we'll create a site of national significance, and the leader of the council set this out in an update to cabinet recently, and I'm pleased to say that there will be a further report. So it has now been published on our website. There will be a further report being taken to a formal cabinet executive meeting on the 16th of September, so next week, to provide an update and for members to consider a draft vision for the project. So we are really starting to move into quite an exciting delivery stage of the project now. So much more information on that to come in due course. Flooding, I won't dwell on this because I am keeping all of my fingers and toes crossed that we haven't had any significant flooding events since January 2025. But of course, we know how unpredictable the weather can be. So let's keep everything crossed for no flooding incidents in September. It's September, sorry, in the autumn or the winter of this year. But should it occur, we remain ready to respond and to support our residents as much as we possibly can. And some more detail about how we've been doing that in the report. Sports provision, there's been a lot going on around sports provision over the last weeks, months and years, following the refurbishment of the leisure centre in Market Harborough and of course Lutterworth. We've seen the opening of a brand new petanque court at Welland Park. An investment is continuing to be made. We are going to see very shortly, following some funding that we secured from the Lawn Tennis Association, some significant refurbishment works to the tennis courts. And we have also awarded a significant amount of Section 106 funding to Robert Smythe Academy to refurbish their changing rooms, which are used by the community for sporting use. So we are continuing to see those significantly improved facilities for the community in the district. Community support. We are acutely conscious of the fact that there is a growing need for community facilities in Market Harborough, and officers are working very hard with developers to bring forward 2 new community buildings at Wellington Place and Overston Park. And of course, as the detail of those buildings and those plans progresses, we will be bringing continual updates back to this panel. We also have a timetable of engagement for our community development team, who are pretty much on a daily basis out and about talking to our communities, and that has been really well received. And then just finally, just to mention events, there has been, I'm sure you'd agree, a full programme of events within Market Harborough across the summer. We've seen events in the town centre, we've seen events, the showground, we've seen events in Welland Park and beyond, and that's been really, really great. The focus now will be inevitably on the build up to Christmas, of course, and as always, we'll be working hard for our event management and other teams to ensure we respond to those plans appropriately. We want to make sure that there is a really exciting and dynamic range of events, but that our residents can enjoy those safely. So more news to come on that as well. So thank you very much, Chair. That's all from me.
Thank you very much, Kat. Okay, and I think that's all from me as well. So the next on the agenda is any urgent business. Oh, sorry. Questions? Yeah, sorry. Councillor Bremner?
To prioritize the question for the rewilding and this area of national significance. Within the 500 acres, do we have a focal point of something? Either an area of water. I can't think of anything that would have any height in it in this area. And will it link wildlife to other areas so that there's a wildlife corridor that's developed, not just 500 acres and whatever the shape, but it actually provides a wildlife kind of badgers, hedgehogs to transverse across areas rather than just stopping at the border.
I think Councillor Knowles would like to come back on that.
I don't think I had the mic on, did I? Sorry.
Right. First of all, on the rewilding project, there are several additional points before I come to Councillor Bremner's comments. There will be a formal event in the next couple of weeks, which volunteers are going to be invited to. That date is being set at the moment, and the officers are arriving today. There will also be a public event. The general public to come along and see, because we've been blessed with an incredible number of volunteers who've come forward and said, I want to get involved, let me get involved. I've spoken to the guys from the Wildlife Trust, and they've explained to us that they're already getting quite exciting bits and pieces that are forming there. They're incredible with oaks, skylarks, and also the butterflies and all sorts of things. So nature's already starting to come back and get involved. I think the other thing which has been highlighted to me is that there is a plan that's being drawn up, which will be presented to everyone, which is to try and give a sort of general theme as to where everything will go, because obviously this is very much Harbour District's acting as the key here to unlock this 500 acres. It is getting a lot of, well, we've got 130 acres. We've got other people who are coming along, key stakeholders who are saying, count me in, we're in on this. So we're looking at somewhere around about 500 acres at the moment, collectively. That could be, I don't know whether there'll be more zone stand support, to be honest with you, because it's generated such a high level of interest. The interesting thing with it is that it's also now starting to attract interest, and I don't think I'm going to say anything wrong if I say about the good. Thank you. I got the nod. I mean, we were quite surprised that we recently got notice in the last few days that there's a delegation from DEFRA who are coming up. Yeah, they want to come and have a look. They want to come and see it. They want to see what the proposal is. I think the one thing is, we know we're not the experts in this, but what we are doing is making sure that the experts are getting involved. And I think that's vitally important because obviously with the Wildlife Trust and everything, they're all truly enthusiastic. I will go back again and say the only thing that frightened the life out of me was that when Ben did his original write-up and sort of presentation to us and showed us the visuals, on the opening shot was this rewilding project, and on there were giraffes, elephants, lions, and I got visions of Buddy myself getting phone calls at 1 o'clock in the morning saying, who's responsible for getting this lion out in the middle of Great Bowden? So it's you know, it's incredible, but he's now sort of got it back down now to badgers and whatever. I know we're playing around at the moment with the logo, which I've seen the first stab at it. I thought it was quite good. I didn't do it, so I can say that, you know, with badgers on there and everything. And it's about generating wildlife. It's about looking at the way the river flows. They're talking about the potential for actually addressing the artificial work that's been done on the river to get it back to where it was originally, about the enhancements, about using the railway line, which, you know, is a really useful sort of pathway through a large section of it. You've also got the special scientific interest areas that are up there. You've got this wonderful facility up there, which is James Adler, which is obviously there and under this umbrella, you know, and I have to pay real tribute to the family for the incredible generosity of what they've done there. It's really is remarkable. There's all sorts of things happening. I mean, one of the things that we picked up in the last few weeks is that, and I'm going to get this wrong because I'm doing it off the top of my head, we're talking about something like 22,000 trees that are going to be planted. And one of the things I've been told is that these 22,000 trees in one section, something like 20,000 are going to be done by contractors, and the other 2,000, they'll be saying to the public, to the volunteers, now, come along and get involved. And I thought, what a terrific project.
Why just 2,000? Because we often plant 2,000 trees as volunteers.
Well, we're busy on Sundays. So they're talking about these 2,000. I thought, what a tremendous situation that we can have where, you know, mums and dads can go along with the youngsters, like yourself, and say, right, we're planting a tree. And you're planting a tree there, and then when they're sort of adults are 30 or 40 years of age, they can come back and see where their tree was planted. I mean, it's a really remarkable project. So for us, it's a legacy project. It's a project for the whole of the council. It's a project for the whole of the district. And it's something that we're leaving for generations to come. And I mean, we're getting incredible commentary coming back from some very senior people saying, you know, this is quite remarkable. Please.
I have a history of my father being involved in the National Trust of Scotland. And I get this completely. Because if we don't start showing an example of what could be done, no one's going to try. So this might be there might be lots of dominoes ready to fall, but this might be the first one to fall and let all the rest come together. Mm-hmm. Especially in England. Scotland, they've got a lot of mountains, Lake District, you know, areas of other natural points of interest. But if you said, what's the nature point of interest in Leicestershire? Well, what is it? Until. But I have to ask this because it bugs me terribly. Part of the allocations obviously for the waste site, which this council desperately needs. But in the ether at the county council, there's this anaerobic digester coming round. And there's nothing to do with this council. And the leader and others have spoken at county against it and they've deferred it. But I just want to say publicly, and it's free for anyone to look at, the government guidance on anaerobic digesters gives you very clear guidance about how many vehicle transits have to come from the site. And I've sent that to the leader, if you remember, I don't know, and to the MP, I think I did, because if you work out the number of movements, I'm not sure those numbers were the same as the numbers in that report, i.e. the numbers in the report were a lot higher, but actually they can't get away with that because the guidance says no. So I think it's worth a look.
Very interesting.
Just carry on. I think the thing is, you know, it's absolutely right what you say that. You know, I'm very grateful for those comments because it is about, I think on this, it's about Harborough leading the way. Because what Harborough District Council has done with this is we've had the vision and the support to actually unlock this. And I've had people say, well, no other district councils are doing this, other district councils, borough councils should be doing it. We've done it and, you know, we've got it, but we're only doing it as part of this group of like-minded people, in as much as it's not just us as councillors, it is the other stakeholders who've come along. And when you've got the likes, and I'm not saying anything I shouldn't say, when you've got the likes of the Wildlife Trust are involved, and then you've got Anglian Water coming in, and all of the different charities and that saying, yeah, we're looking at it. Then you've got the James Adler there, which is a wonderful facility in its own right. When you start to put all of that together and all of the other things, it really is a tremendous prospect for this council, and something that, you know, in future generations are going to look back on. And I think it'd be quite fascinating if we could all wander back here in about 80 or 100 years' time and see people wandering around up there thinking, well, how on earth did this all get here? Who planted all of this? And I do hope the records will show, you know, that Harborough District Council acted as the catalyst, and all of these very important partners played such a significant role in it. It's something we should be justifiably proud of.
I won't say it.
Well, there's all wandering around in 100 years' time.
No, you're gonna example what it's like when all of us are wiped out by something, and how nature's come back and take over.
I know the only way to that.
Right. Okay, Councillor James. Yes.
Yeah, two or three comments on Cat's report, please. One is on the flooding. I was able to, because Little Bowden is a real worry about flooding, and we've been hit quite badly there over the last 4 or 5 years. And I was able to facilitate a meeting last week with some of the multi-agencies. Last Thursday, unfortunately, for personal reasons, I couldn't attend. But I know that the county councillor, who's flooding is in his portfolio, wants to talk to me about that. We did get a visit from the county council. He's very concerned, and I'll be talking to him in more detail later, so we can share that with everyone. So just to make that point on the flooding, on the Friendship Garden, I understand that the mast is coming out, Kat. I think it's on the 30th of September. So it may be a bit early, but I just wonder if the officers have got any more detailed plans now as to what to do when the mast goes. That's a question that's. Sorry?
I don't have further update anyway to provide, so yeah, I would suggest we probably can't discuss that at the moment. Yeah.
Pardon?
Go to the last meeting not to discuss that.
Oh, okay.
I don't have any further information in any event, so
With public
apologies, yeah.
information. So that's that. Councillor Remler mentioned Harborough and Bloom, and I would like to mention Harborough and Bloom as well. I've had reason to go to the station 2 or 3 times last week, and the floral displays at the station are absolutely magnificent, all produced by Harborough and Bloom. And they've done some of the planting back of this station platform as well. So a lot of activity going on there with Harborough and Bloom. And I would like to congratulate them and go on record to congratulate the work they've done at the railway station, which is really good. It does lead on to another point there. And I know Councillor Knowles and myself have had a brief discussion about this afternoon, but we do have another wild area, which is the old station master's garden by the station, which would be right for some form of open space development. Now, I know there's difficulties over that, but I would just like to put it on the radar that is something that we could look at. And again, I know that Harborough and Bloom are pushing to do something there. So that was that. And we do look forward to, and I just want to say something else as well with some of my chairman's activities. I was over at Lutterworth Country Park a few weeks ago, and I remember that as an officer, and that's a long time ago, 20 years ago. And I tell you, that park is absolutely magnificent. I have sent some photographs around, but it's matured now, and there's some amazing walks in there. That's not a wild park. That's a design park, you know, planted, but it was very good design. And I would recommend any member to go and start off by the balancing lagoon and do a walk around there. It's absolutely tremendous. It's a really good example of the country park that the officers have put together. That's it, really. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor James. Any other comments? Councillor Finan?
Yeah, sorry, it's not on the projects here, but there's an area, it's by the railway car park, the one that keeps flooding. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a wooden footbridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got holes in it.
Yeah, it's really looking very worse for wear. And I just wondered if there's any plans, because I know that the car park itself is privately owned. But do we have any responsibility for that footbridge, and can we do anything about it?
It's probably the bane of Cat's life.
It's an access point, isn't it?
Yeah,
From
Arch comes on the left side as you go into the station, and then arcs round to the station, but where there's always some repair, but there's another hole developed, so it's a hazard. But there's some other planks with it a bit raised, so they're also a trip hazard.
yeah.
I go there every day to the station.
My understanding is it's not owned by the council. I think probably the best course of action to get anything done quickly would be to raise it under health and safety concerns with whoever owns it. Does anybody know who owns it? If not, we can have a look.
Council,
We'll have the information somewhere.
I think there's.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Unfortunately, the construction of that bridge means you have to take all the sides off to replace the boards, isn't it? So it's a very difficult one. Okay, sorry, any other comments? Oh, sorry, Councillor Bremner.
Just a small thing. As a new councillor, obviously I have my own little community grant. And I haven't had a lot of take up for it, although I've contacted a few organisations. The one that has been most active actually is Harborough and Bloom. So hopefully they'll be receiving some monies, but I've still got about £4,000 for local community groups in Logan Ward. So if anyone knows any groups, do pass them my way. I've spoken to the Jubilee Food Bank, I've spoken to the Fairfield Road School, but neither have come back to me.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Oh, Kat's thinking.
Yeah, what I can do is pass that on to our grants officers as well, because it might be that they're aware of projects from discussions around the community grant. So if that's okay, I'll make them aware.
Harborough and Bloom, they knew I had 5,000, but they were told the initial application of 500 didn't meet the threshold. Each one has to be 1,000 or more. But I was just surprised they didn't go higher. They just went to 1,000.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Yes, everyone's comments are greatly appreciated on the projects. When it comes to the wildlife and rewilding plot, yes, I have a vested interest. My mother has reserved some of my father's ashes to be put there as well. So I'm very keen for it to come forward as soon as possible. So unless there are any other comments, any other business, no, in that case, I will call the meeting to an end. Thank you very much, everyone. It is indeed.
It's nice to have a person's